just got to the theaters from witnessing Dungeons and Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves on the big screen, and I have some things that I want to talk about for this film, guys. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the review. Let's go. What's going on, guys? The Demigod back on Demigod to bring you another movie review for Dungeons and Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves, a highly anticipated film going into the year 2023, a huge pop cultural event surrounding this film, and this is a movie that feels like just about everyone is behind it. Now, I'll be completely honest with you guys, I didn't love this film as much as everyone else loves this film. Just like most movies, I feel like there's some great things about this movie and also some bad things, some cons. So with that being said, let's go ahead and discuss Dungeons and Dragons. So first things first, of course, this film stars Chris Pine, but when we meet him is partnered up with a friend of his played by Michelle Rodriguez. Now these two are our two main leads for this film, and when we're introduced to their characters, they're currently in a pretty bad position. Now shortly after that, we discover the main plot of this film. That is, Chris Pine's character goes to save his daughter, discovers that the people who adopted his daughter are taking care of his daughter as he's been away serving time in prison, have essentially kidnapped her, lied to her about her father, who her father was, what his purpose was, and then banishes them from the kingdom because he would like to keep his daughter all by himself. Now that's the basis for our film right there. That's the main underlying plot that drives this film forward, and as they try to come up with a plan to get his daughter back, it sends them on this interesting journey, this interesting adventure where they meet a colorful amount of characters, visit an interesting amount of places, and are put in all sorts of situations that I'm sure the audience will enjoy. Now, as for what's great about this film, there's a lot here, man. First things first, the set design. The sets look absolutely fantastic. I'm not sure if they were on real sets during the filming of this, but it looks great on screen. A lot of the backgrounds, a lot of the backdrops, along with the costume designs, they're fantastic. The budget going into this film is around $150 million, and you can definitely feel that here, that they put that money to use, because this film looks gorgeous on screen. It's bright, it's vivid, it's colorful, it's lighthearted in tone, and while some of the subject matter is a bit dark, the film, for the most part, keeps it very light outside of a scene here or there. Now the dialogue, it's filled with tons of banter between the characters, tons of one-liners that the audience popped for every single time. Now I watched this at an early fan event, but even then I never hear crowds pop like they did for this film. This movie is definitely a crowd pleaser, and you could feel the energy from the fans the entire way through, which is why I love going on opening night and to early showings, because I like to soak up all the energy of the crowd and feel what everyone else is feeling. Though I gotta say, like I mentioned in the beginning, I wasn't exactly on board with everyone else. Now, while I found moments in this movie to be charming, certain characters to be interesting, and certain lines to be funny, I never was fully on board with our ensemble cast here, with our group of characters, which makes up about 4 different types of people that fit into different classes, such as Chris Pine's character. He's more of the planner. He doesn't really have any physicality to his character. He always comes up with the next plan, is a very optimistic character, and honestly brings a lot of charm to the screen. I liked Chris Pine inside this film, with the other 3 of his group being a sorcerer, a shapeshifter, and more of a brute type character who got some amazing fight scenes inside of here. By the way, there was some fantastic choreography when it came to the fight scenes. I loved the camera work, the way that they worked around the characters during these fight scenes, and just some of the shots that were captured in this film in general. There's definitely a couple moments throughout this film that you could frame and put into a poster because it just came out that well. And as for the pacing of this film, I felt like the first act, it took a little while for me to get into the film. I was trying to fully figure out everything that was going on. The movie was trying to find its groove, which I'm happy to say it did hit its groove by the time the second act began. I felt like this film really found its flow once we got into the second act, and up until the third act, which I felt was a little drawn out towards the end. This movie was slightly over 2 hours, yet I felt like it was overstaying its welcome big time by the end of that third act. But outside of that, the entire middle part of this movie is paced very well. It keeps you intrigued, it keeps you engaged, it keeps you interested. And while I'm not the biggest D&D fan going in to see this film and know almost nothing about this property, which could lead to how I felt by the end of this movie about this film, I'm still a film lover, a person who's heavily into pop culture. And so with that being said, I felt like I can give you guys an interesting perspective and also an honest take on this movie, because I'm not this, big fanboy going in to see it. And with that being said, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and drop the official rating for Dungeons and Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves. I'm gonna go ahead and give this film a 7 out of 10. It gets the 7 out of 10. I know not as high as everyone else is rating this film. The critics and audience alike are singing its praises so far. I just have to stay true to myself. I have to give you guys my honest opinion as a film reviewer, as a film critic. If I had to recommend you going out to see this movie, I would recommend you go out to see this at a half price, at a matinee. Though the chances that you'll like this movie a lot more than I did, I'd say are pretty high considering everyone else's reactions. Those are my thoughts on D&D, guys. I'm curious to know your thoughts down in the comment section down below. What would you rate this movie? How did you feel about this movie if you've seen it already? Let me know down below. If you don't know what I do on Demigod, you do commentaries, reactions, or reviews. If you're seeing that, in the right place, man, hit subscribe. Hit the like button. I drop multiple videos of weekly channels. You can expect that of me. If you don't already know, I am the Demigod, the chosen one here on Demigod ENT. And I'm out of this thing, man. I'll catch you on the next video. Peace.